Welcome to another episode of the Formula Lighting Show. In this episode, we're gonna go over 5 ways to use one softbox. We're gonna deconstruct it, we're gonna reconstruct it, we're gonna give you lighting diagrams, we're gonna give you meter readings, you're gonna be able to do all this at home. Come with us. You ready, Ash?
Let's do this.
Let's do it. So this look is a basic portrait setup. It's super beneficial if you only have one light or if one of your lights goes down. Basically what we did is we took all the diffusion out of the softbox. We're aiming the head over our model's shoulders into the softbox so it comes back and fills in almost like we have the softbox turned on, but we have the added benefit of having a hair light for her as well to give her increased separation from the background. One of the things you're gonna wanna watch out for in a shot like this is flare. Since you have our background light, which is over our model Ashley's head, it could be going right into the lens. There's a few things you can do. First thing, test. You may not have any flare at all. The second thing, if you are running into a lot of flare, if you have a longer lens, you'll back up behind this softbox so it acts to flag the lens, and that'll get rid of your flare. A meter can be critical in a shot like this because normally if we were using 2 lights, it would be super easy to dial our hair light in. But on a shot like this, we have to dial in our hair light by feathering it. And so to do that, I hold the meter right over the model's head and I slowly feather the light until I get to the point in which I'm only getting about a 1-stop difference between the exposure on the front of her face and the exposure of the hair light coming around over the top of her head. So this is a great one light setup that looks like you're using 2 lights by simply stripping all the diffusion out of a softbox, aiming a light over your model's head where she gets a little bit of spill onto her shoulders, giving you a great portrait setup. For this shot here, what we're doing is trying to do a very dramatic beauty shot. I got this lighting actually from product photography. Oftentimes you'll shoot jewelry where you have the light kind of placed behind it, coming forward, using little fill cards. And what you're looking to do is almost get the reflection of the light into the shot, acting as like a background. So what we have going on here is we have our model laying on a mirror, super inexpensive. We got a 36 by 42 inch mirror, was around $50. We have it laid on the floor. To make our model a little bit more comfortable, there's like some foam core behind her just so that she's on an even ground. And what you're gonna notice here is it almost looks like a multiple light setup. We have the softbox, which is kind of our main light. Then as it reflects in the mirror and kicks back onto the model's face, it's acting as an edge light. And then the reflection of the softbox in the mirror is acting as a white blown out high key background. So with one light and a reflector, we're able to get this beautiful dramatic beauty shot that almost looks like it was lit with 3 lights. Metering for this shot was super simple. I basically metered around my model to make sure I didn't have any hot spots to worry about. Took one overall exposure around her cheekbone forehead area, and we're good to go. The one thing you do have to consider here is depending on the angle of your camera, you may have to move the softbox around a little bit to make sure that you can keep the white background reflecting into the mirror. When you try this out, you'll see what I mean. A beauty shot like this is perfect for a jewelry campaign. It's great for hair because you can lay the hair on the background and it almost looks like it's floating because due to the way we have the softbox positioned, everything is relatively shadowless. This is a quick, easy go-to setup that you can use simply by using a mirror, a reflector, and a single softbox. For this shot, we wanted a dramatic high-key beauty setup. To do so, we're actually using our softbox as our background, and then we're using our 2 V-flats to act as our fill lights. Now, on a shot like this, not doing it this way, you could easily have 2 lights on the background. You could have another 2 lights kind of accentuating our model's cheekbones. And then you could have another 2 lights in the front filling in. So almost 6 lights to get a very similar look to this, except we're doing it with 1 light and 2 V-flats. Super duper simple. Now, in terms of exposing a shot like this, what I tend to do is take a meter reading, and then I'll expose 1 stop under. And then in post, I'll increase the contrast. I'll fill in just a little bit, but what this does is it helps me protect the highlights. Because in a shot like this, when you're using the softbox as the background, especially if your model has light hair, you're almost guaranteed that you're gonna start to blow out some of her hair. Don't worry, it's part of the look, but by underexposing a stop and then bringing the exposure back up, what you're doing is protecting those highlights. So doing a shot like this enables you to get a shot where it looks like you're using multiple lights, but you're just using one. It's a quick go-to setup to get a nice, easy to dial in beauty shot. For this next setup, what we're doing is we're solving a problem of how do we light our background and light our model at the same time, but the trick here is how do we make our background so it's a little bit overexposed? We get a nice, bright, solid white. Easy. We position our softbox so that it's hitting both the background and our model, but we remove the outer diffusion from it. By removing the outer diffusion, we then took it and we hung it up right here so it flags the light that's hitting our model, but the light hitting our background is coming straight out of the softbox and isn't flagged at all. And so what this does is it reduces the exposure on our model enough while still giving you a nice, soft, beautiful quality of light and fully exposes our background so we get a nice, bright, crisp white back there. In doing a shot like this, the meter is critical because what you want to do is quickly dial in so that your background is about a half to a full stop brighter than your model. And so what we're doing here is we meter our model and make sure we like the light quality on her, and then we start to feather and change the position of our softbox so that it's lighting the background as evenly as possible and we're only getting a minimal amount of fall off from each side. Because again, since we're doing this just with one light, there will just be a touch of fall off. So this is a simple, easy to go to portrait setup. If you need to use one light and you need your background to be slightly brighter than the light that's hitting your model, but you still want to get this nice, beautiful side light hitting your model, almost like you have a softbox here and you have another set of lights hitting your background. We're able to do it simply just using one light. This setup allows us to get two completely different looks without changing the position of our light or changing the position of our model. All we're going to do is simply swivel our light in order to feather it away from our background, giving us a much greater ratio between the light hitting our model and the light hitting our background, effectively giving us a much darker background. And then we turn the light towards our model, giving us a brighter light on the model and brightening up our background to give us two distinctly different looks. In terms of metering this shot, what you want to do is basically meter your model and then meter the background, and you're looking to get like about a 4-stop difference when it's feathered to get that darker look. And then simply turn the light back towards your model and you get a much less of a difference between those two, giving you a much lighter background than you see in the picture that we have here. So wrapping this shot up, it's super simple. One light, two different looks, simply by swiveling the light back and forth. Okay, we just went through 5 looks using one softbox. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the little bell so you get notifications. We have more formula lighting shows coming to you. And don't forget, if you look down in the description, we have links to lighting diagrams for everything we discussed today.